I want to preface this video by saying that I am a die-hard fan of Boba Fett. Picked up his Legends trilogy a while back and practically modeled my personality after his for the entirety of junior year. I know, but the character means a lot to me, and this show means a lot to me too. But if it sounds like I utterly hate this show, I don't. There's good and bad so far, and I wanted to take the time to explain to you why I'm genuinely concerned for its future. Ever since Mando, I wanted a Boba show, and I even kept telling myself that it was Boba as the Mandalorian, not Din. I do like some things about this show already as well, I really do. The music is utterly magnificent. Shouldn't really expect anything less from the dude who did Mandalorian and Black Panther's score. Costume and makeup is phenomenal, and 20% of the cinematography is utterly gorgeous. Alright, now let's get into the other side. It doesn't jump into the action right away, and that's fine because it's the pilot. You're supposed to set up your characters and build a Star Wars setting that we can all grow to love. It pans in for a decent amount of time. Enough time to make me question if I'm watching a Stanley Kubrick movie. The flashback scene was cool, but it's not a scene, it's a 2-second snippet from Attack of the Groans. And I was reading a comment under an IGN review of the first episode, and one person said that this scene gave them chills. Hey dude, shut the fuck up. That reaction, of course, is for shock value. You're allowed to enjoy whatever you want. Everything about the Sarlacc was perfect. The shots, horrific elements, slime, the display of Boba's survival knowledge. The whole thing looked like it was straight out of an overpriced sideshow poster. All is well and good, but here's my problem. They don't show much of anything. Boba is fatigued, dissolving alive with barely any traction or oxygen. All we see is him using his flamethrower for 2 seconds, and in a blink he's out and about, with enough energy to crawl his way through God knows how many pounds of sand. Then, he proceeds to strike the most submissive and breedable pose we've ever seen in Star Wars. Yes, it beats this one. What in the 9 hells of piss is a wrist flamethrower going to do to a giant ravenous sarlacc? Gee, I don't know, but apparently enough for it to show Boba a conveniently placed exit sign beneath the sand that leads to the surface. It's like James Franco's character in 127 Hours pulling a Glock 9 on the boulder that's crushing his arm. And in the next scene, he's chilling on the surface with a club soda in his left hand and his shaft in the right. My point is, show us, don't tell us. But thus far, we're not even being told anything. Because whoever directed this episode was so beyond petrified of taking any creative risks. Who directed this episode, you ask? Why, it's Robert Rodriguez, a director I absolutely adored when I was 5. In the first 10 minutes of this episode, I got the Robert tingle. I was sitting there going, no, he didn't direct this episode, did he? I could feel it through the flow of the dialogue because he did the exact same thing to an episode of The Mandalorian, which was Boba's episode. The one where Mando took Grogu to the Seeing Stone. Had tons of badass parts in it, but it dumbs down The Mandalorian about 20 IQ points and sprinkles on some Marvel lightheartedness over a predominantly grim and calculated canvas.
Plus, I can't train you. You're too powerful.
And the Oscar goes to
Robert Rodriguez.
Does this look Jedi to you? We don't have time for this. We gotta get...
Which can be totally fine. But in the episode, Boba is introduced. It feels like the director neutered Mando to make Boba appear as badass as humanly possible. But what Robert Rodriguez does on occasion, I've found, is change the established atmosphere and demeanor of characters so that it better flows with the plot's convenience, which is a very strange and lazy thing to do. In the episode, they keep building up Boba up and up to be this ruthless, driven bounty hunter who will stop at nothing to get his armor. Someone who's prepared to off Baby Yoda just to get his rusty helmet back. The armor given to him by his father, his identity. And he's in Mando's debt right after he gives it to him. I can't be the only one. That's kind of weird.
I give my allegiance to no one.
1 hour later.
We will ensure the safety of the child. We are in your debt.
If Jar Jar found his armor in some gas station bathroom and just gave it back to Boba Fett, do you think he'd become his loyal protector immediately after? No, he'd snatch his armor back, then use his EE3 to blow a hole through his face for even touching the armor. But hey, that is just a theory. When you think of Boba Fett, what do you think of? Most of us think of the cold, calculating, badass-looking bounty hunter from the original trilogy, who spoke minimally and put the job above all else. the best bounty hunter in the galaxy. Most of us don't see this. Look, I understand completely that Boba has skin and bones beneath the mask, but for many people, that mask is his face. Nobody has been complaining about not seeing Boba's true face since A New Hope. It adds to the mystique of the character. What people have been dying to see since Jedi is how Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc pit, how the best bounty hunter in the galaxy managed to survive with his jetpack damaged and sudden death approaching. We've been dying to see it happen. We don't want to see him pull it out of his ass and just act tired. It doesn't make you feel anything, and it waters down a cool concept people have been daydreaming about since 1983. Now, could future episodes add more to the escape scene? Of course they could, and I would happily eat my words like a bowl of oatmeal. But if this is all we're given, that's pretty horrific. Boba Fett Episode 1 is a slow burn. Visual exposition? No. The 38-minute quota. That is what this episode should be called. The quota. It is very difficult thus far to distinguish any differences between Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. Little flashback scene. Character on desert planet experiences a setback and is tasked with a video game-like quest that allows him to display both his skills and convey to the audience his sense of honor. It's cookie cutter. We've seen it before many times. But does that mean that the formula sucks? No. But it can only work if you give us at least something new and distinguishable.
Presenting Dox Drasi, leader of the Trandoshan family, protectors of the city center and its business territories.
That's weird.
When I heard that the first time, I had to watch it back about 6 times, because I refused to believe what I had just heard. Hearing Boba Fett say, "That's weird," is like hearing Batman say, "I'm the goddamn Batman," or hearing Captain America say, "Peggy honey, baby Stevie wants Milky." It doesn't work, and it moderately alienates this interpretation of Boba from the badass image we've all come to create in our heads after consuming years and years worth of Star Wars content. There's a scene in this episode where Boba, and I forget her name every 2 seconds, get jumped by a space phalanx. At first I was like, it's kind of weird for assassins to lead with fucking shields. But then they pulled out their shock sticks and I realized, oh, they want to capture him. Seconds after they advance on Boba, he launches a wrist rocket at point blank range at the energy shield. Hey, that thing has splash damage and could disintegrate a cow. And you're not wearing a helmet. You've got your little Chuck E. Cheese coins in it. The same helmet that last week you were hellbent on retrieving and painting like a Warhammer 40k model. I hope you're starting to see where my sorrow is coming from. But it doesn't end there. Boba takes no damage from the explosion and allows the ambushers to advance. 3 seconds into this, I was like, you have a jetpack on your back. And every second that passed where he wasn't using his jetpack to fly up and get an angle on these guys, my face was continuously drained of its blood. This is just not Boba Fett. And a counter I could very well see to that statement is, of course it isn't. He has 6 minutes and 32 seconds of screen time in the original trilogy. We're simply being given more screen time and dialogue, and you're just unhappy with the results because they don't fit your alternative media-influenced idea of who Boba Fett is. And here's my response to that. Why does Boba have his own show right now? Is it because people loved his origin story in the OT? Was it his dry sense of humor? Was it how he looked behind the helmet? No, we weren't given any of those things in the OT. What people fell in love with was his lethal atmosphere, his flawless costume design, and his few words. Masking his face, combined with giving him minimal dialogue, heightens interest to a very high degree. We hang on every word. We latch on to every head tilt and every possible display of intent or emotion behind the helmet. His books from Legends understand this and execute it perfectly. The show is not terrible so far. At least we're getting something. But for many fans of this character, it doesn't feel right. And I believe that Boba has the potential to have an absolutely outstanding show. But if it follows this rhythm, it will ultimately fail. But I believe there is a very, very simple fix. Rick Famuyiwa. Now, he hasn't done many movies, but what he has done is an episode of The Mandalorian. Episode 6, Season 1, The Prisoner, where Din is forced to work alongside Mayfield, a questionable fling, a really slick bounty hunter droid, and demonic Mr. Krabs on roids. His job is to board a prison shuttle and retrieve a criminal on board who looks a lot like a live-action Muscle Man. It is an episode that perfectly bridges a Star Wars feel with the realistic dark atmosphere of the bounty hunter underworld. You feel that at any second the Mandalorian could be betrayed or attacked by the characters he's working with. And the director Rick Famuyiwa manages to do something beautiful with this. He shuts the Mandalorian up. Din uses minimal words in this episode and lets his actions speak for himself. In his quietness, we get the sense of his understanding of how dangerous the situation is, and also how focused he is. We can see his thoughts behind the helmet every time he's on screen, and we get history with the other characters when they reminisce with Mando before the mission. Through this dialogue and Mando's silence, the director doubles down on every personality on screen and makes the characters feel way more three-dimensional. Din is aware, smart, and skilled. The director also does something equally as important when he tries to convey this to the audience. When he gets into his first fight of the episode, he displays his skill by taking down multiple guard droids who are programmed for combat. And we see Mayfield tell the others to hold up for an unknown reason, to either watch him die or to see if the stories about him were true. Regardless of the original intent, after he takes down every droid, we see different reactions from every crew member. Holy shit, he still got it, and a hint of respect. But it also tells us that each one of them would have just watched him die in the hallway. In under a minute, it adds so much depth to all characters and to the unpredictability of the situation that our protagonist is in. That is entertainment. And when the director wants to show us the brains of the Mandalorian, he does it at the event horizon of a huge twist. The same guy who employed him at the beginning of the episode orders his men to kill Mando after he gets paid and is about to warp from the station. Din's apparent awareness throughout the entire episode holds true, and we figure out that he planted a tracker on the escaped criminal for the rebels to find. And as a result, they're wiped out before they can get a shot off on the Razor Crest, covering his tracks and getting paid. He always thought 10 steps ahead and got the job done. That is Boba Fett. This episode is the perfect mold for a Boba Fett show, and it does so many different things so efficiently without compromising the mystique and intrigue of the main character. I invite you to watch it back and tell yourself that this isn't the Mandalorian on screen, it's Boba, because that's what I did the first time I watched this episode, and it just works. It's like something straight out of a Legends Bounty Hunter series. The book of Boba Fett has so much potential, but until it makes some fast changes, it's just sealed in carbonite without any room to move. Alright, that was a lot of talking. I need some water for my mouth right now. I'll see you guys later.
Don't forget to press the red subscribe button.